You want me to do what with the emergency beacon? Cadet Alex Rodriguez stared at his blue-skinned Centaurian instructor, mandibles twitching in what he'd learned to recognize as their species' equivalent of an exasperated eye roll. As I stated previously, Cadet, you are to disable it. This is a survival exercise. No calling for help. Commander Kazlik's antennae swiveled forward in what humans had dubbed the stern teacher pose. You have 72 standard hours to traverse the wilderness preserve, locate the extraction point, and demonstrate proper survival techniques. Alone. Alex ran a hand through his dark hair, fighting back a grin. Sir, with all due respect, you do remember I'm from Earth, right? A death world? Where we consider wilderness camping a fun weekend activity? Your species' peculiar recreational habits are precisely why the Academy Board insisted on modified parameters for your assessment. Kazlik's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. The standard course was deemed insufficient. Insufficient. Alex's grin widened. You mean too easy? I mean exactly what I said, Cadet. Now, your parameters. No emergency beacon, no powered tools, no nutrient synthesizers. Basic survival kit only. The preserve's atmosphere is Class 3 breathable for your species, gravity at 0.82 Earth standard. Local fauna is primarily herbivorous, though there are some territorial herd species you'd do well to avoid. Sounds like a walk in the park, Commander. Alex shouldered his pathetically light survival pack. The Academy staff had stripped it of anything they deemed would make the exercise too easy for a Deathworlder. Kazlik's antennae twitched. That's what concerns me, Cadet. Your species has an unsettling tendency to improvise. Who? Us? Never. Alex made a show of looking wounded as he checked his compass. Old school magnetic, since they'd confiscated his digital one. We're the very model of by-the-book behavior. You turned last month's zero-G combat training into an impromptu dance competition. The Regellian team started it. Besides, you have to admit the synchronized spinning kicks were impressive. Just try to complete this exercise without causing an interplanetary incident, please. Kazlik's mandibles clacked in what Alex had come to recognize as their version of a resigned sigh. The diplomatic corps is still processing the paperwork from the dance competition. No promises, Commander, but I'll do my best to keep the chaos to a minimum. As Alex watched the Academy shuttle lift off, leaving him alone in the vast alien wilderness, he couldn't help but whistle a cheery tune. Sure, they'd taken away most of his gear, but they'd forgotten one crucial detail. Earth's wilderness made this preserve look like a petting zoo. He'd barely walked 5 kilometers when he heard it, a distress signal. Not electronic, but something more primal. A cry of pain that cut through the alien forest's ambient sounds. Alex's grin faded as his training kicked in. The sound came again, closer this time, accompanied by the distinctive rumble of an approaching herd. So much for keeping the chaos to a minimum, he muttered, already moving toward the sound. The Academy could dock his grade all they wanted. No way was he ignoring someone in trouble, exercise or not. The scene he stumbled upon would have sent most sentients running in the opposite direction. A young Andorian researcher, by their uniform, had gotten themselves cornered by what looked like a cross between an Earth rhinoceros and a tank. The creature's armored hide gleamed dully in the purple-tinged sunlight as it pawed the ground, multiple sets of eyes fixed on its prey. The Andorian's leg was clearly injured, probably from their first encounter with the beast. They had wedged themselves into a crevice between 2 massive tree-like organisms, but it wouldn't hold forever. "Hey!" Alex shouted, waving his arms. The creature's head swiveled toward him, and he grinned. "Yeah, you! The walking tank! Over here!" The Andorian's antennae went rigid with horror. "What are you doing? Run!" "Nah, this is fine. Just like playing with my cousin's bull back home." Alex began slowly circling, drawing the creature's attention away from the injured researcher. Though I gotta admit, the extra eyes are new. Really ties the whole nightmare herbivore look together. The creature bellowed, a sound that would have liquefied the spine of most Academy cadets. Alex just laughed. "That's cute. You should hear my mom when she's mad about muddy boots in the house." What followed was either the most ridiculous or most impressive display of human agility the Andorian had ever witnessed. The Deathworlder moved like water, always just out of reach, letting the creature wear itself out in increasingly frustrated charges. "They're territorial, right?" Alex called out between dodges. "So they probably have specific dominance displays?" He studied the beast's movements, noting how it kept trying to present its left side. "Ah, got it." The Andorian watched in disbelief as the human began mimicking the creature's head movements, then dropped into what looked like a fighting stance. The beast stopped, confused by this tiny prey acting like a rival. That's right, big guy. Let's talk this out. Species to species. Alex maintained eye contact with the central set of eyes, slowly turning to present his left side in what he hoped was the proper challenge position. The creature huffed, pawing the ground uncertainly. Then, in a move that would later be described as either brilliant or insane in his after-action report, Alex charged forward with a roar that would have made his drill sergeant proud. The sudden aggression from what should have been easy prey seemed to short-circuit the creature's brain. It backed up, bellowed once more in confusion, and finally turned to lumber away into the underbrush. And that, Alex announced to no one in particular, is why you don't skip xenobiology class. He turned to the Andorian, switching smoothly into rescue mode. You okay? That leg looks rough. The researcher's antennae were practically tied in knots. How did you... Earth, remember? Where even the herbivores can and will mess you up. Alex knelt to examine the injury. I'm Cadet Rodriguez, by the way. Alex, and you are? Dr. Talara. I was conducting a botanical survey when... They winced as Alex gently probed the swollen limb. The herd appeared without warning. I thought this area was supposed to be safe. Probably is, most of the time, but hey, life finds a way to keep things interesting, right? Alex rummaged through his survival pack. Good news is nothing's broken. Bad news is you're not walking out of here on your own. Talara's antennae drooped. My emergency beacon was damaged in the fall. The research station is at least 20 kilometers from here. Well then, Doctor, looks like you're joining my survival exercise. Alex began fashioning a makeshift brace from his supplies. The extraction point should be closer than your station. And I'm pretty sure helping an injured researcher counts as demonstrating proper survival techniques. But won't this affect your assessment? Alex shrugged. Probably. But you know what they say on Earth. No plan survives contact with reality. Besides, he added with a grin, this is way more interesting than just hiking through the woods. What followed was perhaps the most educational 18 hours of Dr. Talara's career. The human cadet turned their slow journey into an impromptu lecture series on Death World survival techniques, mixed with entirely too many puns and the occasional burst of singing. You see, the trick with most territorial herbivores, Alex explained as he helped them over a fallen trunk, is that they're not actually trying to eat you. They just want you to go away. Usually, if you can convince them you're more trouble than you're worth. Is that why you charged at the herd beast? To appear more troublesome? Partly. Also, sometimes you just have to embrace the chaos and do something unexpected. Predators have scripts they follow. Herbivores, too. Break the script, and they have to recalculate. Talara's antennae twitched thoughtfully. Like your species' approach to the academy training programs? Alex laughed. Exactly. Everyone expects the Deathworlders to be all grr smash punch, so we throw them off balance by starting dance competitions instead. They made camp as the preserve's twin suns began to set. Alex somehow managing to create a comfortable shelter and a small cooking fire with his limited supplies. Talara watched in fascination as he turned their standard-issue ration packs into something almost appetizing using local plants he'd identified as safe. How did you know these were edible? Pattern recognition mostly. Similar structure to some earth plants we can eat. Plus, he added with a wink, I might have spent some extra time in the xenobotany lab before this exercise. Always good to know what you can and can't put in your mouth on a new planet. The night passed peacefully, punctuated only by Alex's running commentary on the local wildlife sounds and his increasingly elaborate theories about their social lives. Talara found themselves taking notes mentally. This was better field research than they'd managed in weeks of official observation. They were less than 5 kilometers from the extraction point the next morning when everything went sideways. Again, the ground trembled slightly, and Alex froze mid-step. Doc, does this preserve have any subterranean species? Big ones? Not that I'm aware of. Why? Another tremor, stronger this time. Alex's expression shifted from curious to concerned. Because either this planet has some very localized seismic activity, or something down there is moving. As if on cue, the ground erupted 30 meters ahead of them. A massive form burst from the soil like a terrestrial whale breaching the ocean's surface, showering them with dirt and vegetation. The creature was a nightmare of segmented armor and sensory appendages, easily the size of a small shuttle. Huh, Alex said with remarkable calm. That's new. Talara's voice came out as a squeak. That's impossible. There's nothing that size in the preserve's database. Yeah, about that. Alex was already moving, supporting Talara as they retreated to more stable ground. I'm getting the feeling this might be why the Academy Board modified my parameters. What are the chances this is some kind of final boss they threw in specially for the Death Worlder? The Academy would never. Talara paused. Would they? Only one way to find out. Hey! Alex shouted at the creature, which was now fully emerged and swaying like a cobra made of tank armor. You wouldn't happen to be part of the official survival exercise, would you? The creature's response was to slam its front segment into the ground, sending a shockwave that knocked them both off their feet. I'm going to take that as a no. Alex helped Talara up, mind racing. Okay, new theory. This is probably why your research station picked this area for a botanical survey. Underground megafauna would explain a lot about the local ecosystem. Fascinating, Talara managed weakly. Perhaps we could discuss the ecological implications when we're not about to be eaten? Who says we're about to be eaten? Alex was grinning again, that special kind of grin that humans got when they were about to do something incredibly stupid or incredibly brilliant. Usually both. Doc, how good are you at calculating trajectories? What? Simple physics. If that thing moves like I think it does, and the ground composition is what I think it is. He was already pulling components from his survival pack, assembling something that definitely wasn't in the standard inventory. We just need to convince it to help us out a little. What followed was 5 minutes of pure chaos as Alex implemented what he later called Operation Earthworm Express. Using his remaining supplies, a thorough understanding of subterranean creature behavior from Earth's own burrowers, and what Talara was pretty sure were some very creative violations of several Academy regulations, they managed to trick the creature into launching them almost exactly to the extraction point. The look on Commander Kazlik's face when they landed was, in Alex's opinion, worth every single demerit he was about to receive. Cadet Rodriguez, the commander said slowly, mandibles working overtime. Would you care to explain why you and a civilian researcher just arrived via ballistic trajectory? Absolutely, sir. Alex helped Talara settle onto a medical hover stretcher as emergency responders swarmed around them. You see, it turns out the preserve has some undocumented megafauna. Really interesting specimens, definitely worth following up on. Dr. Talara here can fill you in on the details once medical clears them. And the unauthorized rescue? All part of demonstrating proper survival techniques, sir. Rule 1 of wilderness survival on Earth. Never leave someone behind. Alex's grin hadn't dimmed a bit. Besides, think of all the new research data we've gathered. The Academy's xenobiology department is going to have a field day with this. Kazlik's antennae drooped in resignation. Cadet, somehow you've managed to simultaneously fail and exceed every parameter of this exercise. Thank you, sir. That wasn't a compliment. With respect, sir, I completed the course within the time limit, demonstrated survival skills, and contributed to the Academy's scientific knowledge base. Plus, he added with a wink at Talara, I made a new friend. The commander looked between the mud-covered human cadet and the surprisingly cheerful Andorian researcher, who was already dictating notes about their adventure to a medical drone. The board is going to have opinions about this, Kazlik warned. They usually do, sir. Alex straightened to attention, though the effect was somewhat ruined by the leaves in his hair. Permission to get cleaned up and start on my report? I have a feeling this one's going to take a while to write. Granted. And Cadet? Kazlik's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Next time, try to keep the property damage to a minimum. No promises, sir, but I'll do my best. As Alex headed for the showers, he could hear Talara enthusiastically describing their encounter with the subterranean creature to an increasingly bewildered group of scientists. He had a feeling the preserve's safe rating was about to be revised. Just another day in the life of a Death Worlder cadet, really. Now, if he could just figure out how to explain the improvised launching mechanism in his report without technically admitting to bringing unauthorized equipment, maybe he'd lead with the dance competition comparison. Everyone seemed to like that story. Let me get this straight. Academy Director Vishar's crystalline form shifted through several shades of purple as they reviewed the holoscreen. Not only did you encounter an unknown megafauna species during your survival assessment, but you've also submitted a 40-page preliminary research proposal? With Dr. Talara as your co-author? Alex Rodriguez maintained his best, responsible cadet posture, which was only slightly undermined by the barely concealed grin on his face. Yes, Director, we felt it would be wasteful not to follow up on such a significant discovery. The discovery you made while being launched through the air by said creature. Technically, Director, the launch provided unique observational opportunities. The aerial perspective was quite valuable for understanding the specimen's morphology. Vishar's crystals chimed in what might have been exasperation or amusement. It was always hard to tell with Luminians. Cadet, most species would have filed a formal complaint about encountering an undocumented apex predator during a training exercise. Oh, it's not a predator, Director. Alex's eyes lit up with the particular enthusiasm humans got when discussing potentially lethal creatures. Based on its behavioral patterns and physical structure, it's more likely an omnivorous tunneling species that primarily feeds on underground fungal networks. The aggressive display was probably territorial, or possibly cadet. And the segmented armor plating suggests an evolutionary response to tectonic pressures rather than combat, which means cadet. Alex stopped mid-gesture, looking slightly sheepish. Sorry, Director, I get excited about xenobiology. So I see. Vishar's crystals settled into a more neutral blue, which is precisely why this situation is so challenging. Your unauthorized expedition has generated significant interest in the scientific community. Dr. Talara's preliminary findings have already been accessed by 17 different research institutions. Only 17? Alex looked disappointed. I thought the part about the potential symbiotic relationship with the local flora would attract more attention. It's been less than 48 hours since your assessment, Cadet. Oh, right, time zones. He brightened. Just wait until they see the follow-up proposal. We've identified at least 3 more potential underground ecosystem markers that could indicate... Vishar held up a crystalline appendage. About that proposal, the Academy Board has concerns. About safety? Because we've already drafted comprehensive protocols based on Earth's guidelines for studying large terrestrial species. Did you know we have these amazing creatures called elephants that... The concern, Vishar interrupted firmly, is about sending a human cadet into an active research situation. Your species has a certain reputation. Alex's expression turned innocent in a way that immediately made Vishar's crystals pulse with alarm. A reputation for scientific thoroughness? A reputation for turning routine situations into interplanetary incidents? That dance competition was totally justified. The zero-G maneuvers had practical combat applications. You started a galactic dance craze. The Regelian Cultural Ministry is still processing citizenship requests from species who want to join their dance academies. See? Improved interspecies relations. That's like half of what the Academy's about, right? Vishar's crystals cycled through several colors before settling on a resigned shade of turquoise. Cadet Rodriguez, you are aware that most species consider humans to be terrifying deathworlders who treat mortal danger as a fun afternoon activity? I was going to say unconventional, but yes. Alex leaned forward, his expression suddenly serious. Director, that's exactly why this project is so important. Look at what we've already accomplished. A human and an Andorian working together to document a new species, combining our different perspectives and abilities. Dr. Talara's botanical expertise perfectly complements my experience with large fauna behavior. Plus, he added with a hint of his usual grin, I'm really good at not getting eaten. That should not be a relevant skill for a research project. And yet... Vishar studied the human for a long moment, crystals shifting thoughtfully. You're not going to let this go, are you? Nope. Did you know humans have this thing called hyperfixation, where we get really focused on specific interests? Because I've been reading everything I can find about subterranean ecosystem dynamics, and there are some fascinating parallels between Earth's deep soil biomes and what we observed in the preserve. For instance, stop. Vishar's crystals flickered rapidly. Just stop. I can see where this is going. Alex tried to look innocent again. It wasn't very convincing. If, and I stress if, the Academy Board approves this research project, there would need to be strict protocols in place. No unauthorized expeditions, no improvised launching mechanisms, and absolutely no attempts to make friends with the megafauna. What if they make friends with us first? Cadet. Right. Professional distance. Got it. Alex's grin widened. So does this mean... Vishar's crystals dimmed in surrender. I will present your proposal to the board, with several substantial modifications regarding safety protocols and supervision requirements. Yes! Alex pumped his fist, then quickly resumed his professional posture. I mean, thank you, Director. Your support of academic advancement is appreciated. Don't push it, Cadet. Vishar pulled up another holoscreen. Now, about these equipment requests. All standard research gear. Well, mostly standard. We might need to modify some things to account for the underground environment. And maybe add some reinforcement for the seismic activity. Oh, and there's this really cool Earth technology for tracking large animals that I think we could adapt. As Alex launched into an enthusiastic explanation of his equipment modifications, complete with hand gestures and the occasional sound effect, Vishar found their crystals shifting to a color that, in their species, indicated a mixture of resignation and amusement. Somewhere in the Academy's administrative database, a new note was quietly added to the growing file on human cadets. Caution. May turn any situation into a research opportunity. Tendency to befriend dangerous fauna should be considered during project approval process. It would not be the last such note. You did what? Commander Kazlik's mandibles were clicking so fast they were practically buzzing. Alex looked up from where he was helping Dr. Talara adjust their new research equipment. Got approval for a comprehensive ecosystem study. Well, preliminary approval, with conditions, lots of conditions, but still. That's not... Kazlik's antennae twisted in what humans had learned to recognize as their I need a drink pose. Cadet, you were supposed to be writing an incident report about violating survival assessment protocols. I did. It's attached to the research proposal. Very thorough documentation of our observations and methodology. Did you get to the part about the potential applications for underground search and rescue operations? Because I think if we can understand how these creatures navigate... Cadet. Kazlik's voice had that special tone reserved for humans who were being particularly... human. You turned a failed survival assessment into a major research initiative. Failed? Alex looked genuinely offended. Sir, with respect, I demonstrated survival skills, assisted another sentient in danger, documented a new species, and contributed to the Academy's scientific understanding of the preserve's ecosystem. That's like extra credit, right? Talara's antennae twitched in what might have been suppressed laughter. The Andorian researcher had been spending enough time around humans lately to pick up some of their habits. He does make a compelling argument, Commander. Our preliminary findings suggest that understanding these creatures could significantly improve safety protocols for future exercises. Don't encourage him, Kazlik groaned. He's already convinced half the xenobiology department to sign on as project consultants. 3/4, actually, Alex corrected cheerfully. Turns out a lot of people are interested in studying giant underground tankworms. Who knew? Tankworms, Kazlik repeated flatly. Working title. We're still developing proper taxonomic classification, though personally I'm hoping we can work terrifying into the Latin somewhere. What happened to keeping the chaos to a minimum? Alex was already back to calibrating something that looked suspiciously like a modified seismic sensor. This is minimal chaos. Everything's properly documented, we have safety protocols, and I haven't started a single dance competition in weeks. It's been 8 days since your assessment. Exactly. Personal best. Kazlik looked between the enthusiastic human cadet and the increasingly human-influenced Andorian researcher, both surrounded by equipment that somehow managed to look both highly scientific and slightly concerning. The Academy board is going to regret this, aren't they? Probably. Alex's grin was infectious. But think how much we're going to learn. Did you know Dr. Talara has a theory about how these creatures might be responsible for maintaining underground water distribution networks? Because that could have huge implications for terraforming projects, and... As Alex launched into another excited explanation, complete with diagrams hastily drawn on his datapad, Kazlik found their mandibles clicking in what might have been a suppressed chuckle. Humans, always turning chaos into opportunity. At this rate, they'd probably revolutionize xenobiology through sheer enthusiasm and an inability to recognize when something should be impossible. Kazlik made a mental note to start drafting the inevitable incident reports now, just in case. After all, it was only a matter of time before Alex tried to prove his "they're basically just big earthworms" theory through practical demonstration. Again. Fascinating. Their tunneling patterns appear to follow a fractal geometry similar to mycelial networks. Dr. Talara's antennae were practically vibrating with excitement as they studied the holographic map floating above their field station. Alex looked up from where he was adjusting his modified seismic tracking device, which he'd lovingly dubbed the Worm Whisperer. Really? That matches what we see in some Earth ecosystems. Termites do something similar, just on a much smaller scale. Everything on Earth is on a much smaller scale, grumbled senior researcher NX Clax, their gelatinous form rippling with mild anxiety as they monitored the safety systems. The Viscosian had joined their research team after the first paper was published. bringing expertise in subsurface geology and a healthy dose of what they called reasonable caution, what Alex called adorable worry. Not everything, Alex protested. We have these great creatures called blue whales that… Wait. He froze, staring at a new pattern emerging on his scanner. Hey, Doc, remember how you theorized these tunnels might be connected to the planet's water table? Talara's antennae perked up. Yes? Have you found something? Maybe. Look at these readings. Alex transferred the data to the main hologram. See this movement pattern? It's different from their usual feeding behavior. More purposeful. Fascinating. The depth corresponds to where we predicted the aquifer network would be. Next clacks, could you? A low rumble interrupted them, making the field station's reinforced walls vibrate slightly. Speaking of movement patterns, Alex said cheerfully, looks like our friends are paying us a visit. Nextclack's form rippled faster. That's within the safety perimeter. Perfect observation distance. Alex corrected, already grabbing his recording equipment. Come on, this could be our chance to document their social behaviors up close. Their potentially lethal social behaviors, Nextclack reminded him. Those are the most interesting kind. Talara, who had spent enough time around humans to develop a concerning level of comfort with danger, was already following Alex to the observation deck. The reinforced barriers are rated for twice their estimated impact force. We'll be fine. That's what humans always say right before things explode. Nextclack muttered, but they followed anyway. Someone had to maintain proper safety protocols after all. The scene that greeted them would have sent most research teams running for evacuation shuttles. 3 of the massive creatures, which the scientific community had formally named Pteromotus giganticus, though Alex still called them tankworms, had surfaced in a triangular pattern around the station. Their armored segments gleamed in the purple sunlight as they swayed like cobra earthworm hybrids. Oh, this is new. Alex was practically bouncing with excitement. They've never approached in formation before. Nextclack, are you getting these readings? The seismic patterns are synchronized. Getting readings and updating our evacuation protocols, the Viscosian confirmed. Look at their sensory appendages, Talara pointed out. They're all oriented toward the station, but there's no sign of aggressive posturing. They're curious, Alex realized, grinning. They've noticed our observation equipment. All those little vibrations we've been using to track them. They've been tracking us right back. As if to confirm his theory, the largest of the creatures lowered its front segment until it was level with the observation deck. Multiple sensor clusters focused on the researchers with unsettling intensity. Hi there, Alex waved cheerfully. Thanks for noticing our research. We're very interested in your tunneling patterns and their effects on local water distribution. Any chance you'd like to participate in some controlled studies? Cadet Rodriguez. Nextclack's voice had the special tone reserved for humans doing particularly human things. Are you attempting to recruit giant subterranean megafauna as research assistants? Well, when you put it that way, it sounds crazy. That's because it is crazy. But consider this. They're clearly intelligent enough to recognize patterns in our observation methods. They've demonstrated complex social behaviors and environmental engineering capabilities. And, Alex added with his most winning smile, they haven't eaten us yet. The bar for scientific cooperation should be higher than hasn't eaten us yet, Nextclack insisted. Talara's antennae twitched thoughtfully. Actually, by human standards, that's a pretty good start. See, Talara gets it. The creature closest to them made a sound like an underground tunnel collapsing. But somehow… Inquisitive? Was that a yes? Alex looked hopeful. That was subsonic vibrations that nearly liquefied my internal structure, Nextclack corrected. Yeah, but was it a friendly liquefaction? Before Nextclack could explain everything wrong with that question, their instruments lit up with new data. The creatures had begun moving in perfect synchronization, their tunneling creating complex patterns that rippled through the underground network. They're showing us something, Talara realized, antennae rigid with excitement. Look at these formations. They match the water flow patterns we've been trying to map. Alex was already correlating the new data with their existing models. It's not just matching them, they're actively maintaining them. The tunnels aren't just passages. They're like underground aqueducts. They're engineers. They're retreating, Nextclack noted with obvious relief. Tactically, Alex corrected. They've given us just enough information to prove they're sapient, then left us wanting more. That's not animal behavior. That's academia. Talara's antennae curved in amusement. Are you suggesting our subjects are conducting their own research project? Why not? We've been studying them, they've been studying us. This could be first contact with a previously unknown sapient species. Alex's grin threatened to escape the bounds of normal human facial expressions. Just think of the paperwork. Most beings would not be excited about xenosapient contact paperwork, Nexclax pointed out. Most beings don't get to help discover a species that communicates through synchronized underground dance moves, Alex countered. This is going to make the Zero-G ballet incident look tame. Please don't remind the Academy Board about that, Talara winced. They've only just stopped adding warning labels to all human-accessible training programs. Too late. Already drafting the preliminary report. Dear Academy Board, remember how you said no dance competitions? Funny story. As Alex enthusiastically outlined their findings, complete with interpretive gestures for the creature's movements, Talara found themselves making notes not just on the scientific implications, but on human responses to discovery. There was probably another paper in there somewhere. Nexclax, meanwhile, began updating their incident report templates. They had a feeling they'd need a whole new category for human-inspired sapient megafauna research complications. The Academy Board was going to need stronger drinks. Let me get this straight. Director Vishar's crystals were cycling through colors so quickly they looked like a disco ball. Not only have you confirmed these creatures are sapient, but you're suggesting they've been deliberately engineering the planet's underground water systems for centuries? At least, Alex nodded enthusiastically. We think they might be responsible for maintaining the entire region's ecosystem. The tunnels don't just distribute water, they're creating perfect conditions for specific fungal networks that support the surface vegetation. It's like they're terraforming engineers. Underground terraforming engineers, Vishar clarified, who communicate through seismic dance patterns, and who've apparently been watching us study them with what Talara describes as academic amusement. Alex added proudly. They might have been waiting for someone to notice them properly. You know, someone who wouldn't just run away screaming when they showed up. Someone like a human cadet who thinks giant armored worms are neat. Exactly. Sometimes it takes a Death Worlder perspective to appreciate the finer points of potentially lethal sapient species. Vishar's crystals settled into the particular shade of blue that meant they were getting a headache. The Xenosapient Contact Division is going to have opinions about this. Oh, they already do. I've got 17 messages from their researchers asking about proper communication protocols. I told them interpretive seismic dancing is probably a good start, but we should probably establish some basic safety guidelines first, you know, in case someone gets too excited and tries to challenge them to a dance-off. Like you did? That was different. The Zero-G ballet thing was totally spontaneous. This would be official diplomatic contact through synchronized movement patterns, much more professional. Cadet Rodriguez, Vishar's crystals pulsed wearily. How do you keep turning routine situations into groundbreaking scientific discoveries? Alex considered this seriously. Well, my mom always said I had a talent for finding trouble. Dad said I had a gift for turning trouble into opportunities. I figure I'm just combining the family traditions. As Vishar began drafting what would surely be the most unusual first contact report in Academy history, they couldn't help but wonder what other discoveries might be out there, waiting for someone crazy enough, human enough, to look at them the right way. They made a note to increase the Academy's insurance coverage just in case. To be continued.